Well, Shabbat Shalom, everyone. It's a beautiful morning, and it is such an honor to be invited to come into your homes, your hearts, your families, and your lives. This is the week of Parsha Saav, Zade Vav in the Hebrew, Leviticus chapter 6, verse 8, in the Western Bibles at least. It's a little different numbering in the Hebrew Bible, but let's just use the Western today. Leviticus 6 verse 8 through chapter 8, verse 36. Our how-to manual for lovers of God that we talked about, which is the book of Leviticus. Actually, it's called Vayikra, and he called, about the calling of the Holy One. Our how-to manual for lovers of God is continuing. We're really just getting started. It's a beautiful journey we're on, but we're just getting started on it. So the how-to manual for lovers of God that the Holy One has placed at the center of his Torah is continuing. Today we are in part 2 of the Corbin Discourse, the how-to manual for lovers of God, Parsha, Sefer Vayikra, the book of Leviticus. It consists of a number of divine discourses, a lot of divine speech. The creator of the universe, wants to talk to us. He wants us to hear, or at least read, his words in his script, in his language, the way he phrases things, the tone he uses, the solid nature of what he does, the substantive nature of what he does. He wants to hear us to hear it directly from him, or at least read it directly from him. And so what we have is this how-to manual for lovers of God. And he starts it off with a discourse, a long section of uninterrupted speech. And we call this, or at least I have come to call this, the Corbinot Discourse. Corbinot, we've talked about that last week as far as the definitions go. Corbinot basically means that which is necessary to draw near. The protocols of coming close to a king, not just to some ordinary figure, person. This is to come close to the ultimate King of Kings. And that is where we are today. Our how-to manual to do that begins with a Corbinot discourse. How do you approach the king when he sits enthroned in his chambers on his throne? And so we're in lesson 2 of that great discourse, and we will conclude that discourse just today. Our how-to manual for lovers of God will carry on from the idea of how we as individuals and collectively as a nation come out of the shadows, out of the darkness, out of the corrupt areas of the world, out of our own oozing holes in our soul, and enter into the light and the majesty and the healing energy of his presence. How do we do that? That was last week. This week it is, okay, we have one more step we need to learn. If we're going to be a kingdom of priests, we've got to know, we have to know. We have to learn. We have to take in to our souls what a priest does. We will all be a priest. We will use the 5 persons who have been named so far. Aaron, all known to the Western world as Aaron. His 2 elder sons, Nadav and Abihu, or Nadav and Abihu, and then his 2 younger sons, Eleazar and Ithamar, it says in some of your King James Bibles, because they put the TH sound in there. Now, these 5 individuals are the prototypes of our kingdom of priests. If you look, every time you see something referenced as far as one of these 5 people, or when it's referenced merely as Aaron and his sons, then you understand we're talking about prototypes for the grand kingdom of priest nation that we are. They are our forerunners. They are our examples. They are our runway models. But we are to pick up where they left off and take on their roles as we mature, as we learn, as we get more and more consecrated to the Holy One, dedicated to his ways, as we get less and less of an oozing sore of the 5 holes that are in our soul that we discussed last week. So, Corbinot Discourse, Lesson 2. And I will entitle it, I like to give you titles so you can have something to go on, something to think about as far as generally understanding what's happening before it happens. The title I've given this one is Learning to Love and See the Heart of God For, and to Humbly Serve Our Fellow Man. So I'll rephrase it slightly so you can get our fellow man in all sections of the 3 sections of this title. Learning to love our fellow man. Yes. learning to see the heart of God for our fellow man, and learning to humbly serve our fellow man. Now, hopefully none of you have checked out or said, well, that's not for me. I don't want that. Hopefully you're all saying, at least I'm curious about knowing what that might look like and what it might entail. And hopefully at least there's some draw in your heart to say, yes, that's what I was born for. Yes, I'm not ready to do it in fullness yet like Aaron and Nadab and Abihu and Itamar and Eleazar, but I'm ready to start down this road, down this long, narrow road that leads toward fulfillment and purpose and mission upon the earth. So learning to love our fellow man, learning to see the heart of God for our fellow man, and learning to humbly serve our fellow man. Those will be the subjects we discuss. Well, of course, with regard to the Torah, we are in a continuous action sequence. Every Shabbat, every Sabbath day, every seventh day of the creation cycle, we come back and we take a deep breath. We step out of the world of the news and out of the world of the corruption. We step out of the anger and the workplace and the war place and the political forum. And we go out of all this for a few hours, 24 beloved hours, when we get some perspective. We step away from the fighting and the stressing and the striving and the working and the focus on money and who's right and who's wrong about this. We step out of that. We step into this grand, beautiful beauty realm of the Holy One, this place he calls the Sabbath. And he has prepared it for us as a place of blessing and as a place of holiness where we become infused with the energy of that motivated the four living creatures and the 24 elders and the cherubim and the seraphim in the heavenly realm. And it made them sing, "Holy, holy, holy is the Lord God Almighty. The whole earth is filled with his glory." Well, we've stepped into that realm, and this is the realm. May you find your delight in the Holy One today, and may he give you rest for your souls, and may he awaken and bring forth from you all the goodness that he designed into you, bring you to your potential in your service. So we join in the action of the heavens in progress as we leave the action of the corrupted earth. We will go back to the corrupted earth. We will not depart from it. We will not leave it. And we will have a new perspective when we go back to it. So as we join the following action in progress, what's really happening is that the creator of the universe is operating, and he's bringing forth his grand plan for the redemption of mankind as a species and for the restoration of creation to its original intended Edenic state of beauty and fruitfulness and shalom. This is a grand adventure, and we are called to co-labor with the Holy One in this grand adventure, and it's going on, whether we're participating in it, whether we recognize it or not. He is always about the business of ecosystem management, and he created this world. He created humanity. He created all the species and all the physical locations of the universe. And he is managing it and bringing it to a beautiful fullness. Like he planted the garden and put all kinds of beautiful things in it. So that's what he wishes to do with us. So we are involved. We join in progress the grand adventure of man collaborating with the creator of the universe in his grand plan of redemption and restoration. The second thing we join, also in progress, every Shabbat, we step out of the corrupted world into another realm, and that is the realm of great nation building. The Holy One promised Abraham, as part of the grand covenant that would transform the world. He promised Abraham that of his seed he would bring forth a great nation. And here we are, right in the middle of the great nation building chronicles, the great nation building protocols. That's what's going on all the time. The Holy One's building the great nation from the seed of Abraham. And the great nation's purpose was stated. He said, and you will become a blessing to every household, every family on the face of the earth. Well, we're in that great nation building chronicles. We're in the great throes of that great activity of the Holy One. And in the Torah, where we join the action in the Torah this week, we are still dealing with the prototypical generation of the great nation, the people who came out of Egypt, that is, the people who were redeemed from Egypt and went to the mountain of Sinai, heard the 10 words, built the tabernacle. We're in that generation, and we are seeing that prophetic generation begin to come into its own. That is just prophetic, prototypical. We are designed to come into our own in the same manner, in the same ways, with the same purpose. We are joining also the prophetic era of Emmanuel. Just recently we have begun Emmanuel, meaning God with us, the Holy One dwelling in our midst. We focus on the tabernacle as being the seat or the center of gravity of the camp now. He lives there. He dwells there. His courts are there. His chambers are there. He sits enthroned there. He invites us into it there. And that is the great ultimate RSVP invitation of the ages. He invites us to come into his chambers, into his courts, commune with him, fellowship with him, learn from him, begin to absorb his beauty, his majesty and holiness into our corrupted being, and replace all that negativity with his power, with his energy, with his beauty, with his goodness. He wants us to absorb his goodwill toward men. I hope you get that. If you still have ill will towards humanity, we need to get back into those courts, into those chambers again. We need to spend some time there in the beauty realm, because in that beauty realm, all you will find is goodwill toward men. Yes, there will be necessity for ecosystem management protocols. There will be certain people who need to be, sadly, unfortunately, need to be cut off or shut down in their operations. But that is not the focus of any of the activity. The activity is, and it's all for, even the cutting off or the pruning that must take place by virtue of the ecosystem management protocols, is designed because of goodwill toward men. He desires for mankind to achieve the purposes for which he has established it. Remember what he said in Genesis 1? He said, I will create man that will be my shadow or my image, and he will project me into the world, into the creation that I have made. And that is we're that great nation that is designed to learn to project his presence, his goodness, his goodwill, his nature, his essence into the world. So we're in the prophetic era of Emmanuel, and the tabernacle has been built by us and indwelt by him, and the ultimate RSVP invitation is on the table. And so last week we began a new section of this whole entering into this season. Our realm is the protocols for dealing with the 5 gaping fissures in every man's soul that are there because of the fall, since the fall. The 5 areas that every human being, we have them, our spouses have them, our children have them, our parents had them, our neighbors have them, our enemies have them, but also our friends have them, the people in our fellowship have them, the people we wouldn't be caught dead fellowshipping with us have them. Everyone has the same problem. We're on the same boat with these 5 gaping fissures. We talked about them last week. I'll maybe discuss a little bit about them today. But more than anything else, we're in the process of dealing with those, getting protocols, divine protocols. He knows the state of humanity. He knows the state of every human being. He knows the 5 holes that are in your soul and in every man's soul. And he wants to bring a healing balm. He wants to bring a closure into those holes. He wants to bring wholeness into the holes of your soul. So he has designed what I have labeled the ultimate extreme bridal makeover, to make us all like a bride would want to be the best she could possibly be for her presentation on her wedding day. So it is with us. He wants to make us over into the fullness of the beauty and the goodness and the strength of who he would actually call his own people. So the extreme bridal makeover that he's been talking about is in progress. And we are in the Corbin Discourse, where he's teaching us how to fill the holes in our souls. And we're going to move on today. But the Emmanuel initiative is an ever-present reality, and I hope you understand that. Now, I don't want to get too theological with you, but let's just assume that the actual Emmanuel, the Emmanuel initiative, goes far beyond just the presence of a physical tabernacle or temple upon the earth, a building, a structure. The Emmanuel initiative is a picture that those buildings, those structures are just pictures of how he desires our lives to be, our world to be. And it's not through institutions he wants to build on the earth. It is through his presence coming into our lives in a real way. So the Emmanuel initiative is underway. The pictures are being drawn for us so that we can take those and incorporate those pictures into real life ways, even in the absence of a structure. that gives us the images. So what's happening is the Emmanuel initiative is underway. The Holy One dwells among us, but he is calling us. And it seems sometimes as if he's calling us from behind a great veil or a curtain, like the one in the Mishkan, the entrance way to the Mishkan, the tabernacle. He's calling us to come through that veil, to come into his courts. He's calling us to come into his presence. He's calling to come into his goodwill, to his shalom, to his joy. Come into these areas, this realm, where the angels worship him, and let us commune with him. Let us be healed in his presence, and then let us become healers in his presence. This is so, so good. And we should know by now we are so, so forgiven, because we have been so, so loved. And as a result, we are so, so refreshed and so, so blessed. So, what now? Behold, the tabernacle of God will be with men, and he will be our God, and we will be his people. And now the next phase. Are you ready to explore another level, the next level in the sequence of what the great nation, blessing to all families on the earth, kingdom of priests calling entails? The next level of what the great nation, blessing to all families of the earth, kingdom of priests calling entails. I call it radical willingness of the heart, phase 2. Radical willingness of the heart, phase 2. Are you ready? One episode of extravagant giving, which led us to build the tabernacle, is going to mature, or is being called at least to mature. Mature from one episode of extravagant giving into a lifetime of joyful, faithful, gracious service. A lifetime of joyful, faithful, gracious service. Now, before we get too deep in this, I recognize that because of several different theologies and religious viewpoints in the world, I probably need to address this issue now. The issue of, is this even relevant to us?